Diebedo Francis Kere is the Pritzker winner for the year 2022. His works have been applauded by people around the world, not just for their design, but for his techniques and commitment to get the community involved in the design and construction process. Now, I have already made a video about Kere, about what his design style and his philosophies are, and what makes him design the way he does. In this video, I want to dive deeper and look at some of the projects that have led him to be appreciated all over the world. Projects that ultimately led him to be the winner of the Pritzker Prize in 2022. Welcome to Blessedarch, and today on this channel, we are looking at 10 projects that have defined the career of Diebedo Francis Kere. Number 1 is the GANDO school in Burkina Faso. This is probably the most important project that Kere has created, and it is also his very first one. He conceived and completed this project back in 2001, when he had still not graduated as an architect. Growing up, Kere's village did not have a school, and so he had to go to a different village for his primary education. And even then, the school was crammed and poorly lit and extremely hot. Kere learned from all of this, and his design of this new school was a facility that could combat extreme heat and poor lighting conditions with limited resources. Here, indigenous clay was fortified with cement to form bricks with high thermal mass, retaining cooler air inside while allowing heat to escape through a brick ceiling and wide overhanging elevated roof, resulting in ventilation without the mechanical intervention of air conditioning. To realize this school, Kere fundraised internationally while creating invariable opportunities for local citizens, from conception to vocational craftsmanship training. The GANDO Primary School was awarded the Aga Khan Award for Architecture in the 2002 to 2004 cycle. And that is why this very first project is one of, if not the most important work of Kere. Next up is the National Park of Mali. When the government in Mali saw an urgent need to define its urbanscape and established its status as a developing nation, it commissioned Kere Studio to build and develop the combined sites of the National Museum, the Botanical Garden and Zoo, and the National Park as a cohesive public realm dotted with cultural attractions. All these structures are externally clad with stone obtained locally. It not only increases the aesthetic value but also adds thermal mass, maintaining a balance in the interior climate of the building. Large overhanging roofs provide an ample amount of shaded space around the structures. The buildings are designed to rely entirely on their passive cooling systems. This project is in this list because it adds to Kere's portfolio, further defining his style of vernacular architecture with sustainable, locally sourced materials. Next, we come to the LYCEE SCHORGE Secondary School. This was yet again one of the most innovative and iconic designs planned and constructed in Burkina Faso in 2016. The project has a mix of traditional architecture and culture with technology, and this is evident throughout the structure. And the best part is that the spaces inside are comfortable and malleable to people's needs and requirements. The entire campus is composed of 9 modules, radially arranged around a huge central courtyard. These modules protect the courtyard from dust and strong winds. Now, I wanted to put this project on this list because even though this project was constructed 15 years after the GANDO school and has a similar typology, you see how Kere's design style, it has stayed true to its roots, yet become more experimental. You see the evolution of form and material, and yet the overall language, the syntax and the grammar of design remains the same. Next up is a project that is one of my favorite from Kere's work, and I personally wanted to include it in this list, and that is COLORSCAPE. COLORSCAPE was produced as a part of the Creative Africa series in the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It proves how aggregating a simple material can produce an extraordinary structure. Inspired by Philadelphia's rich tradition of textiles and woven crafts, the material used to create the installation is a locally sourced lightweight cord made of interwoven strands. Wrapped around prefabricated steel components and hung from the ceiling of the atrium space, the colorful cord becomes both massive in volume and a unifying element that encloses the visitors. The detailing of the installation was designed so that it could be built by individuals without construction experience. Threading the components required no tools or complicated techniques, making the assembly process so safe and simple that children could participate. The reason I wanted to include this project is because it shows the range of Kere as a designer. In architectural projects, he uses materials that are locally sourced and gets the community involved in the design and construction. But here, in a temporary exhibit where he was free to experiment, he did go out of his way and create something unique and colorful. And yet, the same principles were used. The materials were locally sourced, the people of the community were engaged. It shows his range in style and aesthetic and further reinforces his underlying principles and commitment to people. Next, we come to the Serpentine Pavilion built by Kere in 2017. Open annually from June to October, the Serpentine Pavilion Commission has become an international site for architectural experimentation and presented projects by some of the world's greatest architects. In 2017, Kere was invited to build a pavilion in the Kensington Gardens, London. His intent with this project was to create a sense of community while connecting people with nature. The signature elements that compose the pavilion are the huge steel roof covered with transparent skin and the prefabricated wall system. Wooden shading elements are lined underside the roof, creating a dynamic shadow effect, which constantly changes due to the movement of the sun and the clouds. The wall system is composed of prefabricated triangular wooden blocks with slight apertures, which allow the structure to appear light and also provides transparency to the pavilion enclosure. The Serpentine Pavilions by many architects have been some of the most crucial and experimental projects by them, and Kere's is the same. It is important and it is in this list not just because it's a great design, but because of the value that the design and the space holds. Next up on our list is the SARBALE K Pavilion at Coachella 2019. Now structurally, this pavilion is quite simple. SARBALE K translates to the House of Celebration. It was inspired by a baobab tree, which is a community landmark in Western Africa known for its medicinal and nutritional uses. The installation features a total of 12 baobab towers that reflect the material, texture and spatial layout of the architecture in Burkina Faso. The various colors used represent the color of the sunrises and sunsets observed in Indio. It also goes with the hues of the surrounding mountain range. Now the reason I think this is a defining project for Kere is that it shows how he still took inspirations from his homeland but created a pavilion that perfectly fit in with where it was built. It looks and feels like something you would find at Coachella, and only when you go deeper into the design do you understand the roots and where it comes from. It definitely opened up his philosophies to more people around the world, especially those who are culturally different and distinct. And lastly, we have the Startup Lions campus in Kenya. It is an information and communications technologies campus conceived to combat high unemployment rate by upskilling the youth. A sleek and contemporary build featuring terraced roofs and large windows. Its design is aimed at offering students a positive image of their homeland. There are a lot of interpretations and abstractions of the vernacular, such as wind towers, indigenously landscaped courtyards, and the locally sourced quarry stone. Built 20 years after the first project by Kere, you can see the evolution in style, in inspirations, in experimentations. It is said that styles are not set in stone, they change, become abstract, and morph with each project. And that is true with Kere as well. But it's beautiful to see that even though the story has evolved, the underlying language that he uses remains close to home. And that was it, you guys. Those, in my opinion, were the defining projects that defined the career of Diebedo Francis Kere and led him to win the 2022 Pritzker Prize. But I want to know your thoughts. What did you think about these projects? Would you exclude or include any other project of Kere in this list? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any other comments or questions about this video, put that down in the comments as well. I hope you enjoyed the content, and if you would like to see more videos like this and would like to support Blessedarch in making them, you can do so via two sources. One is Patreon and the second is channel memberships. You can find the link for both of them in the description below, and for channel memberships you can also click on the join button below to get more information. I would like to thank all of the patrons and members for supporting this channel. And yeah, that was it. Do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, to subscribe to Blessedarch, and to share this video. I will see you guys soon with more such content. Until then, bye bye.